In the aftermath of post-tropical storm Fiona, officials in Atlantic Canada are scrambling to provide support to residents in need. This comes as the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador says residents impacted by Fiona can access financial support. It would be between $1,000 to $10,000 depending on circumstance. The Nova Scotia government is also offering financial aid to residents and businesses affected by the storm. In Prince Edward Island, the government is giving $5 million to charity and nonprofit organizations that are assisting residents. It has also enacted the province's Disaster Financial Assistance Program. Meanwhile, concerns are rising over the total financial toll of what's being called the most costly storm to hit Atlantic Canada and whether it is covered by insurance. Well, joining us now to tell us more about the cost of this catastrophe and what's covered is Mr. Craig Stewart, Vice President of Climate Change and Federal Issues at the Insurance Bureau of Canada. Mr. Stewart, welcome to Forum Daily.
Thanks, Nina. Good to be here.
So what is the overall cost of this storm for local economies, sir?
The current estimates are that the storm could cost as much as $700 million in terms of losses. It's early days, though. Claims are just starting to roll in. We'll have a much better handle within about a month of what the true number will be.
Now, that's a hefty number, sir. So how much of that is insured damage? What is covered in this case?
So a good portion of it is insured. Commercial policies, so everything from farming operations to fisheries operations typically have wind and flood coverage for them. So those would be covered. There is municipal facilities, some of which are insured, those will be covered. On the residential side, residential home policies typically cover wind. There are overland flooding provisions in many home policies. Storm surge, however, is not covered. So part of this bill will rely on governments picking up some of those damages.
So considering that storm surges are not included in most insurance policies, are insurance companies evolving at all to improve their coverages, considering that storms and floods and wildfires are becoming sort of the norm here in Canada?
Yes, we've been working really closely with the federal government since 2017, since the Eastern Canada floods, to basically come up with a public-private partnership that would see all types of flood covered no matter where you lived and how high risk you are. That would include storm surge. The task force report on that work actually was released by Minister Blair, the Federal Minister of Emergency Preparedness, just a month ago. And we're expecting federal decisions about the results of that task force, a response to it, in the coming months.
All right, sir. Well, on the residential side, how can residents know what kind of insurance protection to consider, depending on which region of Canada they're in, while still considering the cost of all of this?
So they should always be talking to their broker or insurance representative, getting a sense of what risks they face based upon where they live and what the options are that are provided to them. We always advise that they shop around. If they don't get the coverage that they want from one insurer, shop around and try to find it somewhere else. Depending on different companies' risk appetites, some will offer overland flood or even storm surge coverage, but and many will not. So really, you need to look around.
All right, Mr. Stewart, for our viewers in Atlantic Canada right now, what kind of insurance protection do those residents have at this moment that they could access immediately?
So wind, anything that was affected by wind, that affected, like if a tree fell on your car or if a tree fell on your house, then that would be covered. It's standard in almost all policies. Overland flood is covered in some policies if you did buy that optional coverage, which means if heavy torrential rain came in, penetrated your basement, that would be covered. So any fire is always covered in insurance policies. It's only the storm surge issue, which is essentially waves coming in, crashing in through the front door, that isn't offered yet, and that's what we're hoping a public-private and national flood insurance program will cover when it's released in the next year or two.
All right, Mr. Stewart, again, thank you so much for joining us today on Forum Daily and talking to us today.
Thanks, Nima.